Hey guys, it's Alex from 7th Hour Films, back again with Death Note. Last time on Death Note, we had Matsuda, where Matsuda was a bit fed up with, kind of being dead weight around in the Kira investigation, so he went in to try to infiltrate Yotsuba himself, which kind of got him into a lot of trouble, but he was able to confirm that Yotsuba was behind the recent Kira killings. And so that was at least good. That was good confirmation. And they did have to go in and save him and fake his death, all that sort of stuff. And let's see, what else? Yeah, I guess that's pretty much that. This will be interesting to say, but I should also mention that today, in a few hours after this video goes up, the first episode of my Sherlock reactions are going to go up, which technically makes this now Detective Sunday with Death Note and Sherlock. So if you haven't, if you want to go check that out, if you're watching this right when it goes up, then it's not up yet. But you can go do that. You can go check out my Sherlock reactions. But before you do that, there is this reaction that we have to get to. And if you want to watch my reaction to this episode of Death Note, it is not in this video. You go down in the description or to the pinned comment, you click on the link, you find my highlighted reaction. It's all nice and good and edited, and it's a ton of fun. You watch that, hopefully you have a ton of fun. You come back and watch the discussion, and then after that you can go watch Sherlock, I guess. So, yeah. That's pretty much that. With that being said, let's get right into this episode of Death Note. Here we go. Okay, man, that was pretty dirty what L did, but but that was funny. That was definitely funny. And hey, he knows what he's doing, He still can still one-up Light every so often. Even though, yeah, he is starting to consider Light to be maybe even a little bit better than him. So, okay. Let's pop into these notes. First thing I wrote down is Yotsuba and Kira. So, we kind of had proof, basically. It's interesting that most of this episode, well, pretty much the entire episode took place either here at the task force headquarters or at Yotsuba. That was very interesting. I did like that. And them just hearing every last thing, because none of them suspected that they had been tapped, which we saw at the end of the last episode where Weddy was like, there was no super security or anything. Like, this was almost a waste of my talents. Oh. Excuse me. So, yeah, that was interesting. Just the fact that they were completely unaware that they were being watched upon by the task force. So, yeah, that was interesting. And just basically confessing everything, Now, it makes you wonder, was that... with something like that, the fact that they were getting all of that evidence, it's like, you would think it's almost too easy. Oh, excuse me. You would think it's almost too easy, with how that worked. But no, I mean, because even that one guy, when he got the call from, Light as L... he seemed pretty, shocked that L was listening in, So, yeah. So that was all interesting. I wrote down proof. The fact that they need proof before they can really go and arrest everyone at Yotsuba. That is interesting, it's like the chief says, we should have all the proof we need. Just off of these recordings, all their, confessions. But it's not enough for L, mainly when it comes to Kira. Like, if this was any other investigation, maybe, you could go on that. But the fact is, you still need to find Kira. you don't know if any of those 7 men are Kira, and you need proof. So I thought that was interesting. I wrote down the deal and the mole. So I like that. L calling, Light as L calling the one guy and making a deal basically to help with the Kira investigation. And okay, so I told this to if you watch through the reaction at the end, I told full length that I had to keep pausing the episode because I had to let my dog Darby out a couple times. So I actually forgot most of the conversation that Light had with the one guy. So I'm gonna go back and listen to it a bit.
Everything.
Yeah, he was shocked.
Or if you are not someone who can contact Kira directly. Let's make a deal.
A deal? Yeah. Delay the deaths. Right.
Yes, I see. Right. Go on. If you complete your end of the deal and cooperate with our requests from now on, then your crimes, not just yours, but everyone's crimes in the exception of Kira's will be pardoned, based on the premise that Kira blackmailed you into participating in this meeting.
Okay. Yeah.
My only option is to join Hell. No, I'll be dead if Kira manages to find out. What should I do? If you tell the others about this call, they will panic. It would be of no advantage to you.
Yeah.
Everyone would be arrested immediately. But that's not my intention. I'm planning to go one-on-one against Kira. Listen, if I win against Kira, you will be acquitted of all charges. If Kira wins, then you'll be free to carry on with your comfortable life.
Right.
Just play along with both parties. Staying on the sidelines would be best.
Yeah.
You're not in a position to lose anything regardless of who wins in the end. You would only be at a loss if I decided to arrest you right here and now.
Huh.
He already knew what answer I would have given.
Yeah.
That's all for now.
And that's interesting when he says it would only be a loss if I arrested you here and now. Which then you continue on in the episode and Light and the Chief were trying to do that, you know? So that was interesting. So yeah, he wanted to delay it by a month.
I'll see you Monday then. What's going on, Namikawa? Who was that? One of my men screwed up again. I'll have to fix it on Monday. Anyway, sorry for the interruption. Let's get back on topic. We were discussing when we should kill Zenzai and the men from ELF.
This dude is suspicious.
Here's what I'm thinking. We'll give Coyle 1 month to reveal L's identity.
Right.
If he still hasn't uncovered the information we need, then we can go ahead and kill the targets randomly. Then we'll give him another month to investigate and repeat the process.
Yeah.
Once we get rid of L permanently, we can go back to killing 2 or 3 people a week. In other words, our top priority should be the elimination of L.
I see. Once we kill L, there won't be anything standing in our way. But until then, we need to be careful.
Right. Sounds like a reasonable plan to me.
Yeah.
We need to be extremely careful if we don't want to get caught. Then we're in agreement. We'll give Coyle 1 month.
Agreed. L, this should satisfy you for now.
We'll still be meeting on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
That is all.
Okay, so the deal is to delay it.
Yeah, you really are quite amazing, Light. Not only did you manage to delay the killings, but you also set up Namikawa as a potential mole for us. Sounded exactly like the sort of thing I would do, and you thought of it quicker than I did.
Huh.
And
Alright. Okay, so he delayed the killings long enough so that they could... They did say later, like, it's so that they can take that month to determine which of the people at Yotsuba is Kira. So, yeah. So, that's interesting. It's definitely interesting. And yeah, Light really, you know... He kind of basically, even though he doesn't remember it, I don't know how much, you know, he remembers and doesn't remember about being Kira, but it's definitely kind of a card that L would do. You know, that is something L would do, you know, with kind of just going and revealing your entire plan almost. It wasn't quite that way, like L does it, but I mean, he has done that before, even just down to revealing to Light that he is L, So that was a very L move, which leads into my next note. It could be possible for Light to be a successor to L, which is really interesting. Now, granted, we'll talk about the test in a second, but that's an interesting idea, with him figuring that out, and even L admitting that you thought of that faster than I did. So yeah, that's it. That is very interesting, that L would think, because L is still pretty young, but he said oh well, maybe you could be my successor, So yeah, that was interesting, and of course that was also a test, because if Light agreed, then L would still be suspicious, that he would be pretty positive that Light is Kira, So that's interesting. That is interesting, and it's another test, and it still shows that L is suspicious of Light being Kira, which right now he isn't. Right now, Light is not Kira. That's the interesting thing. He's not Kira. And they even said, pass on. And, they showed here in this, it confirmed a lot of things the way the people at Yotsuba were talking. It confirmed a lot of things, like being able to control the victim, the cause of death, the time of death, and all that. So it definitely confirmed everything. It's just that none of them know about the Death Note. So yeah, it's they're still a step away from knowing everything, and yeah, it is interesting that with all this, they said it's oh well, maybe he passed on the power of Kira, and that's why he doesn't remember. And it's technically, yeah. Technically, yes. Technically, yes, he did pass on the power of the... I'm starting to, get all my pronunciation screwed up. I'm trying to say power, but I also say Kira, sort of like the way they say Kira. So, he did sort of pass on the power of Kira, and he does forget. It's just that it's not just passing on this, power or something. It is passing on the Death Note itself. So yeah, it's all definitely interesting, man. It's all interesting. And it is interesting to not have Kira right now. Our main character, Kira. This is just Light Yagami. This is not the same Light we've been watching. We don't have Ryuk. We don't have Rem. We don't have any of this. So, it is still pretty crazy. But I can't imagine, we stay like that. I'm sure at some point, probably after this Yotsuba arc, we will get our old Light back. Because I kind of miss how maniacal he was, And I miss Ryuk, because he was a lot of fun. I wrote down split up. So they were so insistent about what they wanted to do that L had to pull... he basically had to pull rank. Kind of pull rank. He was basically okay, well, if you want to go arrest them, then you can be your own task force, You're out. I'm kicking you out. I'm doing this on my own, because I am doing this my way. It's my way or the highway, literally. Now, they can still work on the highway, but it's still the highway, So that was interesting that he had to pull that sort of move. And then to rope in Misa to it, which I like. We're giving Misa more to do. And I like the way he talks about, oh, well, Misa would be perfect for this, to also infiltrate, to also help infiltrate Yotsuba, because, she is incredibly brave, which she is. Last episode showed she was the MVP of that entire, operation to save Matsuda. So yeah, it's honestly, Misa is a great asset. She's not really, I wouldn't say she's really I mean, I wouldn't say she's like a detective or anything, like not in the slightest. Even Matsuda, I think, beats her in that. But she is a good asset to have, you know? You know, she's good at following orders, basically. So yeah, and I like, you know, saying it's like, oh, bringing her in, and then being like, now Light wants to go do his own thing and not be part of this, and basically guilting him into agreeing to what Elle was planning. You know, it's all just this like master manipulator Elle. You know, we used to talk about master manipulator Light Yagami, but now it's kind of Elle, because he's manipulating all of them to do exactly what he wants, you know? So, yeah. That was interesting, too. Guilting him. And then, yeah, at the end with the chief kind of going over the papers and, you know, he doesn't want to be the only one, you know, split up from the gang, so he tries to come up with a logical reason instead of just admitting that he was wrong. So, I thought that was funny, too. But yeah, that is pretty much all I wrote for this episode. So, yeah, next week we will move on to the next episode. So, yeah, with all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch more of my Death Note reactions, you can click on the playlist, you can subscribe if you haven't done that already, and be sure you hit that notification bell. You can support me on Patreon and follow me on social media, links below in the description. See you guys later.